The cruelest thing about time is that it doesn't take the loud moments first. It takes the small ones, the ordinary ones you thought would always be there. My name is Raymond, and I'm 79 years old. And I'm going to tell you something I didn't understand until it was too late. I thought I was being there for my family when I was mostly just nearby. When I was younger, I had a simple picture in my head of what a good man looked like. He worked, he provided, he kept the lights on, he paid the bills, he fixed what broke, he stayed steady. My father was that kind of man, and people respected him for it. They didn't call him warm, but they called him solid. And where I grew up, that was praise. So I grew into that shape without questioning it. I married Linda, and I loved her, but I carried a quiet fear inside me from the start. The day we brought our first child home, I held that little body in my arms and felt two things at once: love so strong it scared me, and a fear that I might not be enough. That fear became an engine. It made me say yes to overtime. It made me stay late when the supervisor asked. It made me chase promotions I didn't even want, just because they came with a little more security. And it made me believe affection was something you showed by working harder. Linda used to joke that she was married to the back of my work shirt. She'd smile when she said it, but her eyes didn't always smile. At the time, I told myself she understood. I told myself she knew I was doing it for us. I told myself that in a few years, when things were easier, I'd slow down. There's a phrase people use, "I'll be there." And I said it so often, it became my signature. I'll be there after work. I'll be there this weekend. I'll be there when things calm down. I didn't realize I was using there like a place you could visit later instead of something you practice in the moment. I remember one evening in particular, not because it was dramatic, but because it was small, and small is where the truth hides. Our daughter Emily was about 9 or 10. She had a school play, one of those little productions where the costumes are made out of felt and the stage is a few wooden steps. She had been rehearsing lines in the kitchen for days. She'd stand in front of the refrigerator like it was a spotlight, reading with her chin lifted, and after every line she'd look at me like she needed my eyes to say, "Yes, I'm here, I'm watching." I promised her I'd come. That afternoon at work, a machine went down. The kind of problem that makes everyone walk faster and talk sharper. The supervisor asked me to stay. He didn't order me. He just looked at me like he was counting on me. And that engine in my chest started up again. I called home from the phone on the wall and told Linda I might be late. I could hear the noise in the background, the sounds of them getting ready. Then I heard Emily's voice behind her, bright and quick, asking, "Is Dad coming?" Linda didn't yell. She didn't argue. She paused for one small beat, and then she said, "I'll tell her. I stayed at work." In my head, I had a clean explanation. If I don't fix this, it hurts my job. If I lose my job, it hurts everyone. There will be other plays. There will be other nights. I'll make it up. I didn't picture Emily on that stage scanning the audience. I didn't picture her face when she realized which seat was empty. I didn't picture her trying to keep her voice steady. Because I wasn't thinking in pictures. I was thinking in numbers. When I got home, it was late. The house was quiet. Linda was sitting at the kitchen table with a cup of tea that had gone cold. Emily was asleep. There was a program from the play on the counter, folded in half like someone had tried to make it small. Linda looked at me and said, very softly, "She kept looking for you." And I said the stupidest thing a man can say in that moment. I said, I was there in spirit. Even as I said it, I could hear how hollow it sounded. Linda didn't argue. She just put the program in the trash and went to bed. I stood there in the kitchen staring at that trash can and told myself I would do better next time. But next time came in 100 shapes, and I kept making the same kind of choice. Sometimes it was work, sometimes it was fatigue, sometimes it was the television, sometimes it was just my own habit of being in the room but not really with anyone in it. I was home most nights. I ate dinner at the table. I asked about school. I fixed broken things. If you looked at the outline of my life, you'd say I was a present father. But being near someone is not the same as being with them. I learned that slowly, and then all at once. The all at once came years later, after Emily was grown and living a few hours away. She called me one Sunday afternoon. I was in the garage, tinkering with something, and I almost let it go to voicemail because my hands were dirty and I figured I'd call back in a few minutes. But I answered. Her voice was careful, like someone walking across thin ice. We talked about small things. Then she went quiet. I said her name, and she said, Dad, I've been struggling. That word can mean 1,000 things. And I did what I had always done. I turned into a fixer. I asked questions. I offered steps. I suggested solutions. I thought that was love. Then she said something that stopped me cold. Dad, I don't need a plan right now. I just needed you to listen. Listen, not solve, not advise, not repair, just listen. I sat down on an old chair in the garage and felt something in me shift, like I had been standing in a doorway my whole life, holding a toolbox, while the people I loved sat in the dark, hoping I would just sit down beside them. So I tried. I asked her what it had been like. I let the silence happen. I didn't rush to fill it with my own words. I stayed with her sentences, even when they were messy, even when there wasn't a clean ending. When we hung up, nothing in her life was magically fixed, but her voice sounded lighter, not because her pain disappeared, but because she wasn't carrying it alone. After that call, I sat there with my hands still dirty, and I finally understood what being there really means. It isn't a promise you make for later. It isn't a sentence you say to ease your conscience. It isn't proximity. It isn't paying for things. It isn't fixing things. Being there is a decision you make in ordinary life to give someone your full attention, your patience, your presence, even when you can't fix what they're feeling. It means putting down what's in your hands before their story ends. It means turning your body toward them, not just your ears. It means noticing when the laugh sounds forced, when the quiet lasts too long, when the questions get smaller because they're trying not to ask for too much. If you're young, you think the important moments will announce themselves. You think there will be a clear sign, a dramatic scene where you'll know exactly what to do. But most people don't fall apart dramatically. They fade quietly. They learn to carry things alone while you're busy being proud of how hard you work. And then one day, you look up and the child is grown, and the marriage is older, and the house is quieter, and you realize you were present for the schedule but absent for the life. I can't go back to that school play. I can't go back to the nights I came home late and thought a paycheck would cover the distance. I can't go back to the moments Linda wanted to talk and I chose the television because I was tired. Those moments don't wait for you. They don't sit on a shelf until you're ready. They just pass through your hands and disappear. But if you're listening to me right now, you still have something I don't. You still have time. So the next time someone you love starts to speak, and you can tell it costs them something, don't rush them. Don't fix them. Don't half listen while your mind is elsewhere. Turn toward them like they're the most important thing in the room, because in that moment, they are. I'm Raymond. I'm 79, and if I could give you one thing from my years, it would be this. The people you love don't need you to be impressive. They need you to be present. If you can do that while you still have time, you'll be richer than any man I ever tried to become.